Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. The Houston Cougars come in at number 15 in our way too early top 25. And you know, Houston was a team that was not talked about nearly enough in 2021. Cincinnati kind of stole the show, not just in the American Athletic Conference, but also just among all group of 5 teams. But the Cougars, within the same conference as Cincinnati, went 12-2. Their only losses coming to Texas Tech and then Cincinnati in that American Conference Championship game. Dana Holgorsen and the Cougars were legit last year. Again, 12-2, won 11 straight games before falling to Cincinnati in that championship game. They beat Auburn 17-13 in the Birmingham Bowl, and now Dana Holgorsen and his squad return loads and loads of talent, where in 2022, Houston might be the American champions, and Houston might be the best group of 5 team in the entire country. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert as we break down Houston's schedule going into this next season and kind of touch on their outlook as a whole for this upcoming season. But before we dive into that, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. Again, guys, those things that take you just a few seconds to do, the liking, the commenting, hitting that subscribe button, helps our channel out tremendously, helps us grow, and helps us continue to bring you non-stop college football content. So become a part of our team today. Join the GE Nation so you can receive this college football content year-round, and we can have some fun. We can have some great discussion. So again, please continue to do that. It helps us out more than you guys know. We take a look at Houston some more. You know, we don't want to touch any on predictions or deep into stats. That'll come later on in June, July, August as we prepare for season predictions. But when you look at what Dana Holgorsen has done these last few years with the Cougars, it's been pretty remarkable. And last year genuinely showed that. The defense for the last few years has been pretty solid for the Cougars. It was the offense that at times was struggling. And the offense certainly picked up a lot last year, and that to me is going to be the strength of Houston going into 2022 as they return their top 3 playmakers. The big 3 on offense, you've got Clayton Tune returning at quarterback, you've got Alton McCaskill returning at running back, and Nathaniel Dell returning at wide receiver. So you've got 3 huge playmakers, none bigger than, of course, your quarterback in Clayton Tune, one of the better quarterbacks in the American. And I'd put him up there as maybe a top 20, top 25 quarterback in the country, leading this team that's looking to dethrone Cincinnati in the American Conference. And when you look at the schedule, guys, one thing that does stand out to me, and probably to you as well, is that Houston avoids Cincinnati in the regular season. So Houston will not play the Bearcats this year unless it is in the American Championship game, just like they did last year. So overall, it is a pretty favorable schedule. You know, the American right now, there are only a handful of teams I really think can contend for that conference championship, Cincinnati and Houston being the top 2. You could mix in Memphis. You certainly can mix in SMU. And then everybody else kind of up and down. Navy sometimes shows up. East Carolina seems to be on the rise. Tulsa's up and down. But in terms of true contenders, I think it's Cincinnati, Houston, maybe Memphis, and SMU. So we look at their schedule a little bit deeper. What is the key 4-game stretch for Houston and Dana Holgorsen going into 2022? To me, it is right at the beginning of the year. Because in the thick of their American schedule and in the thick of conference play, I don't really see a stretch of games that concerns me too much for Houston. What does concern me the most is the fact they open up the year with back-to-back road games at Texas San Antonio and at Texas Tech. Back-to-back road games. They don't get their first true home game until the Kansas game in week 3. And those first 2 games that are on the road are against good opponents. A UTSA team that surprised everybody last year, winning the Conference USA, doing a phenomenal job under Jeff Traylor. They were kind of the Coastal Carolina of 2021. And then you have Texas Tech, who is going to be under a brand new head coach in Joey McGuire, but has recruited extremely well, showed a lot of promise towards the end of last year, and a team that beat Houston by 17 at the start of last season. So those 2 games will be very telling for Houston and the Cougars. If they do start off in the top 20 or maybe the top 15 like we have them, will they be able to prove they deserve to be there by winning both of these games, or at least one of them, because neither of them are shoe-ins. They then go on to play Kansas. Yes, Houston will probably be favored in this game. Kansas was not great last year, but they showed occasionally signs of life and signs of improvement under first-year head coach Lance Leipold. Expect some more improvement coming in year 2 under him, but the game being in Houston, I'm sure many will pick the Cougars over the Jayhawks, who are still a ways away from truly contending. And then Rice, a team that has shown some improvement as well. Again, Houston getting to host them, another in-state matchup for them within the state of Texas. But of course, no slouch, no pushover, although Houston did win 44-7 over the Owls last year. So again, those first 4 games to me are going to be key. And I think if Houston comes out of there at 3-1 or obviously 4-0, they're looking really, really good. They just really cannot afford to drop their first 2 games. They cannot afford to start 0-2 and then see what happens after that, even though neither of those games in the first 2 or even the first 4 are conference games. Conference is going to be what matters if they want to win the conference championship, but if they want to make it even more special than winning 12 games last year, they're going to have to start off strong, and you're going to see what they're made of again in those first 2 games. To me, that is the key stretch for them, because after that, things kind of let up. The road game at Memphis is not ideal. That is going to be tough, but Memphis did fall to Houston last year, 31-13. They got Tulane, a team that's up and down under Willie Fritz. Didn't really live up to expectations last year. Houston beat them 40-22. Had a lot of blowout victories for Houston last year, and I think that kind of shows you how strong that team was in 2021, and should scare you a little bit for how good this team could be in 2022. Outside of the 4 that we just mentioned at the start of the year, the 2 biggest games I think left on their schedule are the road game at Memphis and the road game at SMU. And I would go out and say that the SMU game is probably bigger than Memphis, at least when it comes to the difficulty level. The SMU game is going to be very tough. Great offense in Houston going up against a great offense at SMU under a new head coach in Rhett Lashley. The Mustangs have tons and tons of talent, and I think many are going to quickly just say that Cincinnati is already in the American championship game. Many would pick them. Who are they going to play? I think it genuinely comes down to Houston or SMU, and that could be decided at the beginning of November when the Cougars travel to Dallas to take on the Mustangs. They did beat SMU last year 44-37. Expect another close, high-scoring game again, and the stakes could be very, very high when it comes to those American standings. And after that, I don't see any other game on the schedule really that freaks me out too much. The road game at East Carolina could be a trap game for Houston, considering they only beat the Pirates by 7 in overtime last year. And depending on what their season's looking like, nearing the end, they could start looking ahead to Senior Day against Tulsa, to the fact they might be in the American Championship by that point. They cannot afford to overlook an improving Pirates team, but outside of that, there's nothing on the schedule that scares me too much for Houston. Again, we're not predicting records right now. That will come later. But if they can get through those first 4 games at 3-1 or 4-0, they have a very great opportunity to run the table in the American Conference, where they either don't lose a conference game or they only lose 1. And again, I would venture to say that 1 conference loss would come at SMU or at Memphis, maybe East Carolina, but again, those first 2 more than likely. The Cougars, guys, are legit. Again, 12-2 last year. The only losses to Texas Tech and to Cincinnati in that conference championship game. They are going to be a favorite not just to get back to that championship game, but to win it all this year. The coaching is there, the talent is there, and the schedule is there for, again, Houston to not just win the American, but to also be one of the best, if not the best, Group of 5 team in the entire country. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Again, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That stuff helps us out more than you guys know. Helps us grow our channel and helps you out, because if you help us out, we can continue to provide you with nonstop college football content, again, year-round. So please continue to do that. Join our Gridiron Expert team today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.